So I ended up redoing everything. I chopped it off, re-welded everything back together. As you can see, I kind of went at a little angle out here so it can flare out a little bit right here in this area. So it goes up straight and then it flares on both ends. This area was a nightmare because I had three pieces here. That was a nightmare to deal with. But anyways, I got this all leveled. This is all leveled. This is 8.5 all the way down. This is not 8.5 all the way down because it also goes in at a weird angle. Don't know what that is, but I'll figure it out. My only concern is I have a huge gap here, so that's going to suck to weld. I also got one up here too. That's going to be a nightmare to weld too. I got the wheel on as straight as I can, so that way the sprocket will be super straight. The reason why I had to take this thing apart and redo it all is because this wheel I noticed was at an angle. And I tried to straighten it back, and then I broke some tacks, and then I just ended up just pushing the restart button. This is all good. I will go and tack some more a little bit, but now I'm going to move on to the control arms. Okay, so I stole the engine out of the Trike. This is the engine that I'm going to use. I'm going to get another engine. It's going to be the same exact one. I think this one's got decent enough power to get you going. Yeah, when this was on the Trike, this thing was able to pull me pretty easy, so I'm pretty confident with this engine. Realize I gotta transfer this onto the back because I can't chuck this into the drill press. I don't have a drill press vise, so I gotta transfer the marks on the back. Kind of screwed up on this one. I'm gonna redo this. Alright, this piece is kind of tricky because I gotta make sure the holes line up, but also having these, like you see that's not a 90, that just kind of pulled in. This one stayed 90, but this one didn't. Okay, fast forward a couple weeks later. I know it's been a long time, but it was the holidays. But anyway, this is what I got so far. I have my A-arm, I got my steering set up, and then I kind of brace this up. And then I got the engine. These little mounts, those are just angle irons that I grinded off and I put there. So it took me a while because I literally had to disassemble this whole thing because I don't know if you remember, but in the previous video I had a bend in this side, so I straightened it out. So I had to come in and redo, break it at the tacks, redo this whole thing just to try to get it all straight. And then I finally got the engine on. It's not welded on, I haven't tacked it yet, I can still move it. I went out and notched the sides, put it on some angle iron, and I can move it back and forth. So that's all good. And then I went and put on some bracing down here, so this frame's kind of solid. I still got to figure out where I want to put the steering. This will be my steering. All it is just pipe piece that I made, so I can get it on here, and then the angle iron will go on like that. Like so. Sorry, I got the furnace on, so you might not really be able to hear me, but the angle iron will go here, this will go there, and it will go like that. I got to figure out how far back I want to come though. And it all really depends on my seating position. I might pull it back because I have to be careful because there's going to be a rod that comes down, and that's going to connect to the tie rods to move the wheels back and forth. Anyways, that's all for the steering. I might end up redoing my control arms because originally I was just going to use, now this is pipe, and I was going to use a piece of pipe here, but these bushings will not fit into pipe. They only really fit into tubing, seamless tubing. You can get a 3/4 inch bushing, however if you try to put it in, there will be a little bit of play, so you need to put it in tubing. And it goes in like that, and you got to press it in. And I was going to have it like that, 2 on each side, 2 up here. And I decided to redo this setup, so this is not really what I'm going to go for anymore. These bushings are pretty pricey. They're about like $4, and then I need 2, 4, 6, 12 on the bottom, another 12, so 36 of these at $4. That's pretty pricey. And then these are these are just spacers. It's pretty much just tubing with a 5/8 ID, 3/4. But these are pretty pricey too. These are like $4 each, and I need a couple of them. So I decided not to use these. Instead, I'm going to use Heim joints. 2 Heim joints here, a tie rod end bearing on this side, because I was going to use something like this. You know, there'll be another piece down here, and they'll move up together. Instead of doing that, I'm just going to use a tie rod end. This will be a lot easier than trying to weld up and then trying to find a bolt and make sure that's all lined up. These Heim joints would be a lot easier to do that, and it'll probably most likely be cheaper too than to have to buy all this hardware and these bushings. Now I'm not going to do a Heim joint on this side. Instead, I'm going to do a tie rod, and the reason why is because these Heim joints, they like to move in one direction. They don't really like to pivot like this. You see, they'll end up hitting the bolt when they pivot like this. What I needed to do is I needed to go up and down and pivot. So the Heim joint will be able to pivot, no problem, but going up and down, you see it's hitting here, you won't get a whole lot of travel. The tie rod end, you can put it on and you'll be able to move up and down and twist it. I don't have one on me right now, but I gotta go order it. Like this. These are perfect to move like that. And they can move just a little bit, but they don't move a whole lot. But anyways, that's where I'm at right now. I think I'm gonna call it for this one. It doesn't seem like I did a lot, but this was a lot. I got all the other pieces up there. Like I said, I went and redid the frame pretty much from scratch. I just had to redo it all. Yeah, so the next thing I have to do is I'll get my tie rods, I'll get the Heim joints, and then I'll be able to create the steering knuckle, and then I can get the wheels on. Finally I can get the wheels on. I got more tie rods back there, these things, and that will be for the steering. I don't want to commit to welding the engine on yet, or the engine plate, not the engine itself, because I want to make sure I get the jack shaft on and the sprocket. I'm going to start from the sprocket, from the wheel side, and then work my way up to the engine, instead of how I did it over there where I worked from the engine back to the axle. Because I know this axle's straight, this engine is not straight with the frame. Next time you see me, I'll have the steering, I'll have the control arms on, the engine and the jack shaft, and the shock. I'll have the shock. This thing will be almost pretty much done. But with that, I'll see you in the next one.